So this video is going to be about smaller marijuana companies, primarily penny stock companies, and a lot of people find these interesting because these companies do have the potential to make you a lot of profit, but they're also very risky companies and you could lose a lot of money if you don't time them properly. So even if you don't want to invest into these companies, they still can be an interesting watch because this is a new industry and these smaller companies are trying to get into it. And if you watch them and you actually understand what leads to the success of some of these companies and what leads to the failure of other companies, you could potentially learn something, and in the future, if a similar situation comes up, you could make a lot of money from it, because some of these companies will be doubling or tripling in the course of a year while other companies will not. And if you can differentiate between which ones will be and which ones will not, you could make a lot of money. But of course, that's very difficult to do and it's very risky, so keep that in mind. This list will be available in the description, so if you don't want to watch the whole video, it is there, but I will be making some valid points, so if you can, do stick around. Anyways, first on the list is Nutritional International. This is a company that a lot of people were watching at the end of 2016 around this area, and it did drop off quite a bit, 80%. That's a lot. But this company deals mostly with recreational stuff, and it requires the recreational market to come into play before it can actually make a lot of profit. That's what it's banking on making a lot of profit in, and that's what it's relying on. It does deal with oils and stuff, but the majority of their profit will probably be from edibles in the future. So until that comes into play, this company is not going to make a lot of money, and you should probably not invest into it until that actually happens, or slightly before that happens. So keep that in mind. Oh yeah, also, I made a video about this company before, and one thing that annoys me very much about this company is that they require you to give them your email if you want to look at their company presentation. And this is so annoying, because if you want to be able to look at a company's presentation, a publicly traded company, I mean, why do you have to give them your information? It's something that bugs me so much. Anyways, next up on the list is American Cannabis Company, and this is a company that went up about 20 times right before the elections, depending on which point you bought it. And I was watching this company, and every single time that it doubled, starting from about 10 cents, as it went from 10 cents to 20 cents, then to 40 cents, then to 80 cents, then to $1.60, I always thought that this company was about to top out and drop off at some point. But it took quite a while. The company went all the way up to $2, and then it dropped off from there, and it dropped off quite a bit. But the reason why this company went up so much is because its business model is actually fairly interesting. So what this company plans to do is it plans to help other businesses set up, establish their paperwork, get their licenses, location, branding, all of that. It plans to help other businesses set up, and in return, it's going to get some money from them, but it will also be getting stakes in those businesses. So if this company helps you set up a business, you might pay them half by cash and half with your company. So you might give them 10% of your company in exchange for them helping you set up. And this is a business model that could work quite well, especially in the future when everybody's set up and whenever this company doesn't actually have anything to do. Whenever that happens, this company will still have a lot of shares of different companies, and it will still be making money, because if the companies that it helps set up make money, then this company makes money. The tricky thing about this company is that if it doesn't have very good management, if it doesn't have very good people working for it, then it's going to fail. Because if you're going to be helping businesses set up, then you only want to gain a stake in businesses that are actually going to be successful. So in other words, if you're going to help somebody set up a business, you don't want that person to give you a 10% stake in their business if that business is ultimately going to fail. You only want a 10% stake if that business is going to succeed. So that's something that's very tricky, and if this company can do it right, then they can make a lot of money. If they can't, then they're going to lose a lot of money. But that's that. Interesting company. Take a look. Their business model is fairly interesting. They describe what they plan to do, and it has potential, but it's still a little whiles away before this company will actually get into full momentum mode and actually start making money. Moving on, we have Golden Leaf Holdings. This is another company that a lot of people were talking about at the end of 2016, but it has dropped off a little bit since then. This company plans to do just about a little bit of everything. And by the way, on Google, the market caps might be a little bit outdated. They might be a little bit more than what they are, because Google doesn't keep track of the number of shares that companies have very accurately. So make sure that the market cap is what it is before you actually invest into this, if you plan to invest into it, because this might not be very accurate. But anyways, this company does a little bit of everything. They plan to take on a lot of different products. So this is some of the stuff that they might do. And they do have several other companies that they acquired recently. So they have Chalice Farms, which is the big one. They have Hoo Hoo Joints, which I'm not sure if that's going to be particularly profitable or anything. And then they have a Medical Marijuana Group. So they're trying to do a little bit of everything. It's an interesting company and it can be very successful. They do have a head start compared to a lot of their competitors, and if they have competent management, then they should be fine. Next on the list is Isodiol. I think that's how you pronounce it, but this company has doubled within the past 2 weeks. And the reason why it doubled within the past 2 weeks or so is because they released a quarterly statement and they had $4.9 million in revenues and $900 million in profits in just one quarter, right? And for a marijuana company to actually be profitable, to actually make $900,000 in a quarter, that's actually really, really good. A lot of these companies are losing massive amounts of money, and to actually have a company that makes a lot of money, that's really impressive. Keep in mind that this is unaudited, so we're not sure exactly how this money was made fully. Well, we are, but it's unaudited. Just keep that in mind. Also, they do have 161 million shares currently, and at 40 cents, that puts them about at $70 million. And $70 million is actually not that bad for a company that made $900,000 in a quarter in profit. And if they can keep this up, they're definitely going to be worth more. But of course, that is if they can keep it up, which we're not sure if that's actually going to happen. But very interesting company. Take a look at it. I'm going to be watching this one. I'm very curious if they can keep this up. And by the way, the products that they deal with, if you go on their website, you can kind of take a look. They mainly deal with consumer products, CBD oil, especially in cream and stuff like that. So interesting company. A lot of these products are legal in a lot of different countries, so they can already be sold. There's no barrier to entry. There's none of that. All that they have to do is sell their products, and they should. I mean, they're looking at as an like an. I'm stuttering over my words here, but they're looking like an interesting company. So take a look. And lastly on the list we have Signal Bay. This is a company that owns testing labs, and whenever recreational marijuana becomes a thing, whenever the licenses are released for businesses, one of the things that's going to need to happen is somebody needs to be able to test it in a lab and make sure that it's not full of pesticides, that it's not full of toxic components. And this is a company that's willing to do that service for you. So once that happens, this company should be making some profit, but this company is heavily diluted. So keep that in mind. You want to be very careful of this company, because if you invest into it too early, you're probably going to lose a lot of money. This company is not exactly very close to being profitable quite yet, and it's still a ways from I'm stuttering over my words again, but it's still a little bit away from actually making any profit. Still have some time on our hands, but yeah. So if you go on their website, you can look a little bit more on what they do, their services, what they offer, and stuff like that. But interesting company. Once again, I don't know what the exact factors that will make these companies successful. I am 100% sure that the management is one of the biggest factors in terms of which of these companies are going to succeed and which ones are going to fail. But time will tell. These companies are very risky, and unless you know something specific or you believe something specific about these companies, then investing into them is very risky. So do that at your own risk. Anyways, hopefully this helped. If it did, leave a like.